US President Joe Biden is all set to meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. The meeting between both the leaders on the sidelines of the G20 Summit in Bali comes amidst simmering tensions between the US and China. According to the Biden administration, the two leaders are likely to discuss the US-China relations during the Monday meet, with the US president expressing his concerns over Taiwan and human rights violations. The White House spokesperson, Karine Jean-Pierre, said, and I quote, "The leaders will discuss efforts to maintain and deepen lines of communication. They will assess how to responsibly manage competition and to work together where our interests align." The meeting marks Biden's first in-person summit with Xi after assuming office. With tensions flaring across trade, technology, geopolitics, and ideology, the US president was handed a US-China relationship in its worst shape in decades. Though the stakes of the much-anticipated meeting are high, the expectations are quite low. The two sides are locked in an intensifying great power rivalry. Washington and Beijing disagree on just about every major global issue: the war in Ukraine, North Korea, Taiwan, and the Indo-Pacific, even technology. Now, the recent tensions over Taiwan have made things worse. It started with US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island in August. The United States' claim to aid Taiwan to protect itself has also irked Beijing. The cross-strait tensions have been at its peak, with China carrying out military exercises, firing missiles, and with its military aircraft entering Taiwanese airspace. This time in Bali at the G20 Summit, perhaps the only real common ground the two sides share is their limited hopes for what might come out of the Biden-Xi meeting. The two presidents have spoken by phone a number of times over the past 22 months, but the COVID pandemic and Xi's aversion to foreign travel has prevented them from meeting in person. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Jean-Pierre Cabestan from Hong Kong, who is an emeritus professor at the French National Center for Scientific Research. Thank you for being with us. Now, US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping are all set to meet on the sidelines of the G20 Summit. High stakes but low expectations. So what are we expecting from this meeting?
Well, first of all, I have to indicate here that the first meeting between the Chinese president and the US president since Joe Biden came into office earlier in 2021. So, they had four virtual meetings, but a face-to-face meeting is not the same. And I think it will be the first occasion for both heads of states to meet, and the body language will tell us quite a bit more about the state of the relationship between the US and China. But of course, they have a full plate of issues to discuss. And first of all, I think, first and foremost, the Taiwan issue, which has intensified in the last few months. And of course, there is not much expectation of an agreement on this issue. But I hope there's at least some hope that there will be some better management of the differences between the two governments on the Taiwan issue.
Absolutely. Other issues that Washington and Beijing seem to be disagreeing about are such as the war in Ukraine. What do you think we can expect out of this meeting between them on these discussions?
I think on the war in Ukraine, I don't expect much. I think China has remained very close to Russia on this issue. At the same time, China has voted selling Russia, military equipment and sensitive materials. But at the same time, as you know, the Chinese have started to import much more oil and natural gas from Russia, helping Russia on the financial, from the financial point of view to sustain this war. I think the other issues which may bring both the US and China closer to each other is the climate change issue. We'll see whether the US and China are ready to cooperate on that issue. I mean, they the real need to coordinate both countries' policies in terms of climate change, but whether they're ready to cooperate, I think, will depend very much on the willingness of both governments. And I think this meeting may help, bringing closer the position of this issue.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your valued insights, bringing us all the latest on this upcoming first in-person meet.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.